GTA 5 has become a cultural phenomenon since it was first released by small $500 million indie studio, The Letter R. The second best-selling game of all time, and it continues to sell even after almost 12 years on the market. GTA 5 was, without a doubt, a game that was made and then released in 2013. With GTA 6 just being a glimmer in everyone's eyes, about 2 years ago we first took a look at GTA 5's initial impact on the industry with its launch on Xbox 360. I think it's about time we returned to Los Santos and continued our journey with Michael, Franklin, and Trevor. I'm thinking we go back in time a bit. So let's pick up where we left off. Last episode, we finished up by blowing the brains of Life Invader CEO Jay Norris across a stage on live television. A very relatable scene for those of us under the age of 4. And then, in an attempt to make himself feel better, Michael stops by to see his shrink Bob Ross, but not before helping his wife not get shot by cops. So where do we go from here? Well, after helping Lester do this, it's time to head over to the garment factory. Lester's using it as a front to hide the extremely epic things he's doing from law enforcement. I seem to have broken Lester. He wants me to walk into this room, which I do, but he just doesn't seem to give a fuck. After like a minute and a half of dicking with him, the game just automatically starts the scene, thank God. Lester wants to hit the Union Depository, but Michael's being a bit of a pussy. As we saw last time, he needs to pay off Martin Madrazo, a Spanish man who loves tickling men in their late 40s with bats. But after Michael made an oopsie and tore his house off the side of a cliff, much like people with fat shoulders, Michael has a heavy weight on his shoulders, and reminds Lester that he only needs a few bucks and doesn't need to go crazy, shooting for a huge hit like the Union Depository.
An Eastern European guy making moves in Liberty City, but he went quiet.
Whoa, did you guys hear that? That's right, seasoned Rockstar fans might have noticed that sly little reference to the Rockstar North classic, Burnout Paradise. So Lester suggests they hit a jewelry store, and Michael agrees, so we hit the road and head for Vangelico. Lester needs to collect some pictures of the interior. I'd like to remind you of the cinematic camera in this game, because after 12 years it still doesn't make any sense to me. By pressing B, you can change the camera mode to this cinematic shot that bounces around between angles. But how in the love of fuck am I expected to drive like this? First time I played this, I assumed the game would go into some kind of auto-steer mode, but it doesn't. So unless you're some abhorrent freak, you're gonna have no fucking clue what you're about to drive into. But anyways, we get to the jewelry store and we gotta head in and take some pictures. This is our first mission setting up a heist, and it's interesting to see the dynamic between Michael and Lester. It's insinuated that Lester worked with Michael years ago before he changed his identity to get off heat and became Michael DeSanta. He formerly went by Michael Townley. It's obvious the two have quite the history. So after taking pictures inside, now he wants us to get pictures of the roof. So Michael tries to make his way back to the car, and I had the idea that maybe, instead of planning this heist out, we could just do it all right now. So I tried driving into the front window of the store, but for some dumb fucking reason, specifically the shop staff have a problem with me driving in a pedestrian zone, which is total bullshit. So we're looking for a way onto the roof. Wow, would you look at that, a way up to the roof. I'm getting really tired of being bossed around by Lester. Up on the roof, we get to take on the really boring challenge of walking. Mostly, the enjoyment you're gonna get out of this mission is hearing more backstory of Michael and Lester. Michael asks Lester about an unnamed man, presumably someone they've both worked with. It seems they both assume he's dead, but Michael definitely gives off a "I really hope he fucking died" type of vibe that's a bit upsetting. After we get the pictures, we have to come back down and go back to the car. But I really didn't enjoy using the ladder, so I ended up just flopping off the roof. As we head back, the two of them start throwing ideas back and forth, and I can't help but wonder what goes on off camera if they can manage to have a completely normal conversation like this while the car is smashing into everything in sight. So we get back to the garment factory, and it's time to see what we got. Lester puts together a cliche corkboard heist plan and gives us two options: quiet and smart, or loud and fucking stupid. You'd have to be an absolute worthless failure dipshit to not go in loud and dumb. We get to pick our crew and have to take into account a couple factors. Throughout the game, as you meet more people, you'll unlock new options for heists. In this case, we get the opportunity to hire that greasy nerd whose boss we blew up on live television. Now, with that all out of the way, it's time to start the heist setup. Heist setups usually consist of a few small missions, but it's always worth it. Throughout the world, you'll sometimes come across these douchebags who need help with random things. The most common are robberies. Some dickwipe will steal some broad's purse. If you hunt them down, you can either keep the money for yourself or return it for a skill point reward. After a lucky shot, the bitch dies and I pick up the purse, but I guess I can't return it now just because the cops were called after I murdered someone on a main road. Must have scared the now broke bitch away. Okay, so last time we checked out some strangers and freaks. These are those random weird missions with little side plots that occasionally have something to do with the main story, but most of the time don't. Last time it was Tanya, and we helped her tow a car. Remember that? How much boring ass did that suck? So hopefully this will be different. It's really far from my current location, but on the way I hit this Bronco and its fucking wheel came off. I feel like that's a pretty rare sight, so I decided to take it. It's a bit weird to drive, but it still does the job. So when in the cinematic mode while driving, sometimes the camera angles they programmed in just don't make any sense whatsoever. Like, what even is this shot? From inside the fucking gas tank? You can cycle through them with the right joystick at least. This mission is still pretty far away, but at some point I pissed off some guy and he started chasing me. It was this intense slow-speed chase, but he was actually faster than me, so in a quick sequence of events, I decided to take the stunt jump off this ramp to get away from him, and it actually worked. So I kept making my way to the mission, but things started to get rough. The car was just a complete and utter pile of scrap metal dog shit by this point, and I was still pretty far away. But much like that guy who tried to kick my ass, I'm not giving up. So I get to the mission, and get this. It fucking disappeared. So it turns out that certain strangers and freaks are only available at certain times of the day. In this case, this one's not available at night, and it took so long to get here driving this pile of shit that half the day went by during my journey. The thing that sucks here is that you don't know which strangers and freaks are available at what time, so you kinda just have to hope you don't get unlucky. So now that it's daytime, I decided to head back over and see what I missed. You make your way up this hill and meet this annoying cunt named Marianne. After a few cheap shots, she challenges Michael to a race. Wow, okay. So there's these checkpoints you have to hit, but I don't see the point in actually running for them. But any fucking creativity I exude always seems to be shut down by this game. So you run and run and run and literally just run. They scream back and forth for a bit, and I guess the dialogue is a bit entertaining, but other than that, wow, what an uninteresting mission. At the end, if you win the race, Marianne blames you for jumping over this fence as taking a shortcut, which is so stupid. So she runs off, and I get her as a contact, which I don't understand because why the fuck would I ever want to do this again? And just to make sure I don't ever have to do this again, I did the entire world a favor and shot her on the side of a highway. Doesn't look like I'll be racing her again anytime soon. And just to kick sand in her eyes, I stole her bike and left her to bleed out. I don't know what she was talking about with Michael being out of shape. I haven't seen many middle-aged men bike 90 degrees straight uphill and then some stairs. So I decided to do another Strangers and Freaks since that one sucked. Maybe this one will be decent. So I head over to this weird hippie park and there's this dude sitting at a table crying about weed. Michael talks to him and I guess he's some kind of evil Native American prophecy because he makes the rain stop. He insists Michael sign some petition to legalize pot, and after Michael tells him to fuck off, he begrudgingly smokes a joint. And as is often the case with joints handed out by strange men in public parks, it causes Michael to go completely batshit insane, and he starts seeing aliens. I don't know what's actually going on in real life, but there's these aliens shooting lasers at Michael while he sprays them with a minigun. After a bit, he regains consciousness and tells the weed guy to eat shit. I gotta say, that was definitely an upgrade from the last mission. What a night and day contrast. In one, you race an annoying bitch for 3 minutes, and in the other, you smoke weed and shoot up aliens. What a difference one mission makes. So I've decided to switch back over to Franklin and see what goes on. His auntie Denise, with all that ass, is going out for a spirit walk, which, similarly to our weed friend, makes the rain cease its downpour. Lamar shows up with Chop and insists that they go for a little ride. For a guy who wants to go for a ride, he sure does suck ass at getting in a car. On our way to threaten a guy, I guess, for some reason, Franklin and Lamar argue like hell and won't shut the fuck up. Eventually, we get to our waypoint and do this cartoonish backup when we walk extremely clearly into view. We put our disguises on while being completely visible to both people in the alley. And you gotta love this. These disguises. As we all know, by putting a bandana around your mouth, you become a different person entirely. Most people don't realize this, but your whole existence as a recognizable human being is all stored in the lower half of your face. He drives his ass out of here and a chase ensues. This portion of the mission is on rails, so sadly you can't run him over. When you get up close, he just speeds ahead. It's pretty clear that most of Franklin's driving missions are designed around the use of his slow-mo driving ability. Thankfully, despite my lovemaking with a brick wall, the guy gets hit by a bus and books it. The chase will have to continue on foot. Chop chases with us and runs ahead, but for me, there's a lot of obstacles and I have no choice but to push them out of my way. Some trains are moving, of course, perfect timing. Then this shit happens. Suddenly the character wheel changes and we have the opportunity to play as Chop. What the fuck? What a twist, but you have no control over him. You just pretend you do. You have Chop vision, which I'm pretty sure is inaccurate, but he just moves on rails and the game just lets you pretend you're doing something. While Franklin opens doors and shit, Chop starts having gay sex with some random dog. This is terrific. Franklin tries getting in on the fun, but sadly, this is where Rockstar's laziness with game development really shines. Someone forgot to program the Franklin Chop dog sex mechanics. Easily the most underwhelming sex scene in the entire Grand Theft Auto franchise. Soon enough, Franklin finds the fella and Chop bites his ass. We pick him up because I guess a dog biting his arm completely crippled him. Lamar backs the van up so we can load this load into the back. At some point, I guess Lamar decided to take off his bandana, and just like that,
Hey, Lamar Davis, is that you, nigga? Nigga, shut the fuck up, just get in.
Yep, that did it. His identity is instantly recognized. What a dipshit. You would think this is his first time kidnapping someone he knows. Classic rookie mistake. So we're taking D to Lamar's house, and this is the best.
I knew it was you before you took that flag off.
He claims he knew it was Lamar even before he took his flag off. Wow, is this guy some kind of telekinetic wizard? How'd he know that? They have some beef with drugs and money or some shit, but then Lamar makes a call on his personal phone and blows their location, so now they gotta let D go and the whole mission is blown. All because Lamar blew his disguise. Now, before dropping off Lamar, Franklin goes on about how they gotta start taking things seriously. I accidentally got the cops on me, so before I drop off Lamar, I gotta lose them. Lamar gets out, takes Chop, and then watch this. He fades away into nothingness. What the fuck was that? He doesn't know how to leave his disguise on, but he's capable of deconjuring matter. Michael's back home and accidentally accelerates time for exactly 3.5 seconds. He's eating chips and watching crap. Jimmy's being a gamer upstairs and won't shut the fuck up. So Michael does the only reasonable thing one could do in this situation and throws a chair at his son's TV and then tells him to hit him. To cool himself down, Michael suggests that they go out and do something together. What could they do? Well, how about a bike ride? Jimmy reluctantly heads out and off to Vespucci Beach we go. On the way, Jimmy won't shut the fuck up. He keeps going on and on about how Michael is a psychotic asshole, to which Michael responds with complaints about Jimmy's intolerance towards ass-munching homos. In an interesting moment, it's revealed that Jimmy has some learning problems or some shit. So we wirelessly transfer cash to this bike salesman and Michael thanks him with a hug. Once again, take your pick. Jimmy doesn't stand a fucking chance. It's a race to the pier. Thankfully, since Jimmy's a fat, lazy, deadbeat jerk-off, I think we got this one in the bag. Unsurprisingly, we beat him and Jimmy's all sour. So he tells us that Tracy's out on the water getting fucked by porno dudes on a yacht. Michael realizes that this is why Jimmy brought him out here and swims to the rescue. After a 40-second long swimming in one direction action sequence, we hop aboard and fuck shit up. Michael gets all angry and steals a jet ski, as one does. He instantly starts getting shot at, and the goal here is to lose them. They kinda just empty rounds into Tracy's back, and she doesn't seem to be too bothered by it. The thing is, though, is that you don't actually have to lose them. You can just shoot them. And all it cost was your daughter losing a quart of blood. I didn't really care what Tracy had to say here, so I just did sick tricks in the water while she bitched and moaned. Eventually, I parked on top of a truck and tried to patch things up with the kiddos. No surprise, they hate Michael's guts and tell him to eat shit and fuck off. Another successful mission. It's always nice to go for a swim and enjoy the warm weather, even when the water's crowded. Remember that jewelry store we ate shit at? Well, I think it's just about time to hold it at gunpoint. We gotta get one more thing done first. There's a cop car going around Los Santos and we gotta steal it. Why? Because I'm bored and I want to shoot at things that have kids. So of course, the quickest way to stop a car from moving is by shooting at the round things at the bottom of it. There's a whole show going on now, and I'm just not having any of it. I can't destroy the car, so I'm going easy on these cops by only using a firework launcher to burn them alive instead of a homing missile. But just my luck, the stupid idiot dipfuck cops set the car on fire with their charred corpses, and I gotta do this all over again. I don't feel like wasting time. I don't know what the thought process behind these cops is, but if a fat middle-aged yank blows your driver's brains out and then executes your coworkers Al Jazeera style, then maybe just fuck off when he starts running you over. Now there's a helicopter on me, and this is such a pain. Of course, if you've played this game, you'll know that the cops don't start sending helicopters after you till you have 3 stars, and killing a cop gives you an automatic 3 stars. Sometimes it can be easy to get away, but when you're in the middle of the city and you have to stay in the car, it just sucks. You can try a million different things to get away, it always feels like there's just one cop that shows up out of nowhere. It starts to become this thing of, how much driving away from the cops do I have to do before I just end up filling in the entire map? And all I want to do is start a heist. These dumb fucks should be saving their men for what's about to happen later today. At this point, why does anyone in Los Santos still want to work as a cop? How is it worth it when the thing that gets you killed on the job is some miserable 45-year-old rolling a car down a hill? I know it doesn't matter as long as it's hidden, but if someone happens to wander by this bridge, I feel like a totaled police truck with 2 doors missing and a dead cop hunched over in the backseat might raise an eyebrow or two. So we head into the garment factory and meet the crew? Why the fuck is this the first time Michael's meeting the crew? You're about to rob and murder jewelry store employees, and the people you're doing it with you meet 8 minutes beforehand? And listen to this, you gotta love the stupid fucking explanation.
We're gonna execute the plan, we're gonna move quick, and we're gonna keep cool.
We're gonna do the thing, and when we do it, we're gonna make sure the thing we're doing gets done. I've never heard plans more catastrophically fucking stupid. He so pulled that out of his ass. Then he goes on to explain what we're doing? Like, what kind of game plan is this? The fuck kind of heist did we put together? Does nobody here know what they're here for? So it's time to head out finally, and we all pack up into the van. I guess it doesn't really matter what the van looks like when we get there, because no one seemed to mind that I was punching it. Franklin's supposed to be driving it because he's the getaway, but I'd rather him just chill in the back seat with the other guys. So on the way, Michael suddenly decides that it's important to know your crew. What a complete bozo. He wants to sound all serious and professional, like he's been in the game and knows what what there is to know. So I wanted to try and make him look like an asshole by driving like a fuck ass. He doesn't seem to mind though, nor does anyone in the car. This reminds me of how no one reacts to you when Detroit become human, even if you're standing directly in front of them. They're all just talking as if the van isn't driving over random pedestrians. Serves Michael right though. Someone needs to get his ego a little flaccid. So we get there and Michael throws out this one-liner.
Please don't make me ruin all the great work your plastic surgeons have been doing.
I think that's actually a very good line, but I don't like the idea of giving these people any glimmer of hope that they're going to be seeing their families tonight. If there's anything watching Coco Melon has taught me, it's that dead people don't talk. So we take some pretty earrings and necklaces and head out when the alarm goes off. The game for some reason insists that we do not kill the security bozo, so he gets a pass. It's your lucky day, you prick. Franklin catches up with the crew and it's time to run. It seems we can't shoot our own crewmates, but I didn't really need to anyway because the stupid prick crashed right before we went underground. I guess the lesson here is don't cheap out for the low-paid rookies. I'd feel bad, but he's not even animated doing anything special. He nervously whines on the radio set and then just ragdolls off the bike. No one really cares and I don't either, so let's just go on with the mission. You gotta make sure there's no witnesses. It doesn't matter where you are. We're driving in this sewer for like 90 fucking hours and then jump out and the cops are all over. Michael starts crashing into cars and I thought he was on one of the bikes I was following in the sewer, but I guess not. After crashing into a few cops, I guess the entire state law enforcement just gave up because they stopped following us. Michael asks about the dude who crashed, but I have no interest in him or his well-being, so I try just drowning out the noise. This is definitely the game's way of saying, oh, if you pay for a cheap guy, he might fuck up. See that mechanic? Aren't we clever for making that a thing? A little bit further up, we park and it's time to wrap things up. The guys park their bikes in the back and just sit there for the ride, so I wanted to be as sure as possible that the ride was smooth and relaxing after such a big take. Franklin and Michael are all happy and the other guys just say some cringe stuff. We head over to Lester, who's waiting at some random garage or some shit so we can hide the car, which is apparently something we still need and can't just blow up. But just before I parked the thing, I wanted to see if Lester had any other dumb shit to say about our heist. So I was running towards him, and I noticed that when I ran into him, he moved a little. I look up, and there's this main road here, and I immediately knew what needed to be done. Lester's gotta get hit by a car. So little by little, I'm pushing him into the street. I thought about running him over myself, but I don't need the game telling me I failed the mission for tapping Lester on the ass with a truck. It just has to be someone else to run him over. After much pushing, I get Lester to the road, and of course, the cars just stop, right? So I figure I just have to wait a minute or two, and the NPCs will start to get impatient, and then just run him over like they would Michael. But after several minutes of waiting, I started to realize that the cars were never gonna move. Lester is just standing there doing fuck all while some guy honks and flips him off.
Pussy-ass motherfucker!
So let me think about this. I figured there must be a way to do this. There's no way I can't get Lester run over by a car. I tried sticking him in between lanes, hoping that someone would go around and sideswipe him, but all that happened was this giant line of cars forming. Lester doesn't even care in the slightest. I'm trying to make him roadkill and he just does not give a single fuck. I started trying new things, but nothing seemed to be working. But then it finally happened. I didn't want to risk getting the cops on me and failing the mission, but I'll try anything at this point. First, I pointed a gun, but that didn't do anything. Then standing on his car got him to move a bit, but not into Lester's frail joke of a body. Out of frustration, I kicked the car, and bam, he got ran over. Thank God. This prick needs to know the hell we go through to get all this money, all while he sits on his ass. So naturally, I had to see if I could get him killed. They started pushing him pretty far out into the intersection, and he had no reaction to any of it. At this point, he's like 50 yards away from where he started, and now he's all the way over by the train tracks. Of course, I knew I now had to wait for a train. But after waiting all night, I began to worry that trains were just turned off for the mission because there were no signs of any. So I kept things moving along and got Lester a bit further up the road. It's good to take him out and get him some air. I got him into another situation where he was backing up traffic, and at this point I was wondering if I could get a conga line of cars to consecutively plow him one after the other. The people driving them sucked though, because a lot of them would just run away or completely miss him. There were times where the cars in the back would just rear end the ones in the front, and they'd all push up in increments just to knock him over. After a while of playing in traffic, I thought about what I was going to do with him, and after a bit of consideration, I decided that the right thing to do would be to drown him in the LS Harbor. So bit by bit, I got him over to the bridge, and he fell down the hill. I pushed him along the wall and developed a pretty good rhythm to get him all the way to the end. I like that this whole time he just has no reaction whatsoever to any of this or anything going on around him. He's about to be pushed into the harbor after he was just run over by like 30 cars and he won't even change expressions. Eventually I got him over to the ledge and knocked him in, but sadly he just swims to the side and climbs back up. You can't directly hit him, but if you angle an air punch right, you can deck him and bop him one in the nose. You can stab him too. I guess what's going on here is that he has infinite life unless he gets hit by something that would, under normal circumstances, be an instant death. At least that's my guess. I wanted to throw him into the ocean though, so I looked around for a boat but couldn't find one. So I figured the next best thing to do would be to find a pickup truck, somehow get him in the bed, and then drive it off the LS Pier into the ocean. I stood in traffic for half an hour and there was not a single pickup truck. So I decided to go to the beach and find a boat instead, but sadly, I guess there's a radius that you can't leave or else you'll fail the mission. But I wasn't done. This time around, I realized that you can move him with a car. You just gotta be careful not to kill him. I had some issues though, because you gotta get him out of this crevice first. While I was doing this, I noticed that there was a train going by also, but it didn't last long because I ended up killing him. So I started desperately looking for a train, but eventually I put together an idea. Also, I noticed that if you leave the car out in the street, he just keeps doing this wave animation. My plans got interrupted though because cops showed up. So I get a car and I slowly move him bit by bit to the tracks. If you tap him enough, he does this little backup maneuver which works well too. This probably isn't a very good look for Michael, to be repeatedly running over a disabled person. Then he gets his legs tossed under a car as if he doesn't already have enough problems in that department. Of course, I'm too late, and a train comes, and just when I think I got it, the train's on the other side. Fucking perfect. So I leave him in the middle and just camp out. Eventually the signals come on, and I see the train coming. I pushed him like a madman onto the tracks, and here's the result. Yeah. As expected, he fucking dies. So I went around looking for a bulldozer, but I couldn't find one, so I ended up just driving back to the lot and parking the truck so we can keep things moving. What a mission this has been. So everyone's all happy and Lester waddles into frame as if I didn't just spend the past hour and 45 minutes trying to get him run over. Michael tells everyone to lie low and invites Franklin to his house for some beers. Michael finally pays off Martin Madrazo after accidentally destroying his home. Franklin calls his ex-girlfriend in the strip club, which is an interesting choice, but okay. He thinks money is gonna win her back, and this is like the deepest they take Franklin's character emotionally in this game. The strip clubs are fun, but my only issue with them is that you can't hold live grenades inside. You can get around this by pulling this simple trick called murdering the bouncer. Once this is done, empty rounds into the bartender from outside. After that, you can explore the club. There's an office in the back. The cops are like cartoonishly stupid. He walks in, looks at the wall for a second, then kills me. I'm a bit burnt out from story missions, so why not check out some other attractions Los Santos has to offer, such as the airport. When playing offline, there's these giant 747s you can steal. It can be difficult if you suck, but eventually you can take one for a spin. The airport isn't a place that has been featured in the story yet, so many locations like this are hidden on the map still. Obviously, you're encouraged to dig around in between missions and explore the thriving metropolis of this crime-ridden, drug-addicted city. You may even dabble around with cheats. One of the most famous cheats in this game is the skydiving cheat. It throws you in the air and lets you soar across the cityscape. If you're looking to dick around, it's a great way to get to where you want to be quick, unless where you want to be is solid ground. Grand Theft Auto 5 remains just as fun today as it was 12 years ago. While other games in the series may not age too well with time, I don't see this game getting stale anytime soon. We'll come back another day and continue the engrossing story of middle-aged alcoholic, black guy, and hick. I'm Bearman, and I've been wasting your time. Thanks for watching.